All right, Shalom. Welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Says Pop, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from, well, actually, it's a rainy San Diego. Just laughing. It's actually raining here today, Jay, uh, and which is overdue. And today I'm joined by Jay Tobey, who is in Salt Lake City in Utah. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing very well. And just like you guys, we're not getting rain, but we are overdue for some good snow on the ski hills. So we're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
pounded today.
Oh, you are? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My son was down there in Utah snowboarding a month or so ago, so probably way better right now.
I was about to say, he did not get the best snow. That is
No,
for sure.
for sure. And Jay's mission is to broaden access to private investment opportunities by leveraging his extensive experience and network with a background in syndicating individual investments across various asset classes, including real estate, private equity, and private credit. Jay spent years cultivating exclusive relationships with key players in the investment world. And now you recognize the growing demand and critical need for accessible behavioral health services. So you're starting to focus on this underserved sector. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And we may talk more broadly about investments. But tell me a little bit about the behavioral health sector. What is it, and why you see it as an investment opportunity?
Yeah, it's an incredible sector. Behavioral health encompasses mental health and like addiction recovery services. And so I passively invested in 2018, 2019. And I never really thought too much of it. I thought it would be a good philanthropic, even though it was a for
Hmm.
profit, kind of a philanthropic um, investment. But it really softened my heart to meet others in the industry that are, they're doing God's work really in the shadows. They're these smaller facilities that are just doing amazing work. And as anyone knows, over the last probably 10 years, the mental health crisis and really substance abuse crisis has just skyrocketed. I think it always was underlying there. It's just we're way more open. There's way more people looking for services. There's way more people looking for um, really support in both of those aspects. And I just saw massive holes and gaps within that industry that I think we could really benefit and help. I tell people that I used to think I was in the changing lives business, but at this point we're in the saving lives business.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many people are at the end of their rope and we're just trying to catch them. Like, we are just saving lives out there. And that's what got me interested is hey, these can generate a good return, but man, the impacts that you can have on the individuals, unlike anything I've been able to experience.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we live in this weird world today where I just call it the connected disconnected world. Where we're so technologically connected, but oftentimes very very disconnected from people, from real relationships, from support structures, all of that. And I agree with you, like the uh, mental health crisis is growing. I mean, and I think part of it is, as you say, is it's a little bit more out in the open. Maybe it's always been there, but it feels like it has gotten it's gotten greater. And I think from the point of view of what we're talking about today, it's always feel like there have been very limited options for treatment in the past, right? It was like, oh, you go to your GP, maybe he refers you to a psychiatrist, you get prescribed some pills, and away you go, and that's about it.
Yeah, really, that's a lot of people's experience is either you're a caregiver of someone looking for these services or you're the person trying to get help themselves. We're very used to the medical, navigating the medical
Mhm.
world, which is confusing in and of itself. But you layer on top of that mental health, substance abuse, like it's an industry that most are just super unfamiliar with in the first place,
Mhm.
especially if they're seeking treatment. While you're trying to get help, you're trying to figure out this whole different industry, like you said, just being referred to different companies, knowing what those companies, each company has a different, what they call modality. Think of that as
Mhm.
like a different way to treat the client. Most people don't. And I'm coming from the layman here too,
Mhm.
because I've never gone through this myself. Um, through that industry, I didn't go through recovery, which it's unbelievable. So many people in this space have gone through recovery. And
Mhm.
so they feel this drive to help others navigate this crazy path that the industry is kind of put together. And so that's where we
Yeah.
are really trying to help.
Yeah, and we're seeing, and like I said, we're seeing some more innovative approaches to it and different approaches than before. And I think also, Jay, and I don't know whether you agree with this, but I get the feeling that people are kind of getting, they're kind of getting tired of these big medical like facilities and these big medical groups where, I mean, once upon a time you used to go to your doctor, and now you'd be lucky to see your doctor. Maybe you'll see a PA if you're lucky, maybe you'll have a virtual visit, but it's all become so kind of almost like anonymous. Even though you might be ultimately seeing the same kind of people, you don't feel a connection to it the way perhaps you once did. And I just feel like they've become very transactional, if you like.
I think you hit it on the head. We see that. If a good example is, trying to find primary care in our
Mhm.
market anyway is super hard to try to find, especially someone that you want a relationship with over
Yeah,
years. And so that's the same issues that this industry deals with as well.
yeah. And that's what I'm saying is there's obviously, if you're going to, with mental health or addiction or whatever, like you said, you want to build a relationship with somebody. You want to feel like there's a person or a team that's on your side and working for you, and that they're in it for the long term or the long haul with you. And that obviously presents opportunities for different types of services.
Yes, that's exactly what we've seen is every it seems like most of these services are very siloed. They kind of
Mhm.
pass the clients between their
Yeah.
very siloed uh, service, they're providing these services. But each time they pass in between these companies, that client is kind of starting from square one. There might be some data that transfers. There might be some, hey, this is where this client is, but that client's usually kind of reliving that story. He has to kind of start back. And especially, like you said, in the medical industry, it's very transactional. And I think their incentives are a little bit like that,
Yeah.
where they want to kind of turn clients. Whereas the behavioral health industry is a whole different animal. I think it's a long-term relationship, long-term, uh, you know, support system that you've got to build. You've been
Mhm.
dealing, some of these people have been dealing with, let's say an addiction for 20 years. 5 therapy sessions is not going to cut it.
Yeah, and that's usually what the insurance company go, "Oh, here, yes, you've got your 10 or 5 or
Oh,
10
hey, you're
therapy
healed.
sessions." Yeah, and you're cured. Well, good
You're
luck then.
cured. And so, really, one thing we're trying to do is work on within one continual system, build because we know you've got to play the game with insurance
Mhm,
and
sure.
and really build different ways that like a client can step down or walk through different services that are providing, you know, treatment throughout a long period of time. That's different for each individual with lots of different step down processes, but
Mhm.
that the individual can still access different parts of their insurance. They're not just doing only, one, like you said, five,
Yeah,
five therapy sessions and then you're it. Well, there's all these other codes and all these other things that we can bundle together for long-term support.
yeah. And not to get off topic, but I mean, it is amazing. I'm originally from Ireland, and one of the things that shocked me when I came here, like I just couldn't get my head around it, was the US is only one of two countries in the world where drug companies can advertise direct to consumers. Because I used to be like, what are these ads coming on all the time for this new drug and this new drug, and if you're this and that, and they're just setting people up, so people are desperate and they're going, oh, that sounds good, I better go to my doctor and ask for that drug, and it's a vicious circle. But anyway,
And,
there's one
and
thing
then
they
they've
could
always
do
got
to,
those
yeah,
disclaimers at the end.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the
exactly.
question
That's
is,
what
what does that
that's
drug do with the other 5 drugs? And I think there needs to be, a lot of data and research probably going into
yeah.
that.
And I think stopping the direct to consumer advertising would be a good starting place. Um, because then the focus would be on the treatment, someone rather than like the latest miracle drug. But tell me a little bit about some of the businesses in this sector that that you've invested in or that you would consider investing in. What do they look like?
Yeah, so we're really taking a holistic approach. A lot of money's been poured into, I would say, the high end of this space. So like the Betty Ford,
Mhm.
the place where famous people will go and get treatment. And it
Right.
makes sense. I mean, they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to go to those facilities. So of course the economics work. But um, we're really looking after, like, I would call it the middle class, higher, upper middle class, and all the way down to Medicaid,
Hmm.
because there is a massive pent up demand in that market. Because a lot of the laws require they get higher reimbursements for smaller bed counts.
Hmm.
I think some of the thoughts behind it is if you have a smaller facility, maybe you can do more hands on care. Um, so it causes a lot of, lots of small facilities to pop up
Hmm.
when we need when we need a ton of additional services. And again, I this industry is amazing. People have been doing unbelievable work for years and years and years. What we're trying to do is just a different approach to work with those smaller facilities and say, hey, we might do a 50-bed facility. You might do a 16-bed facility. We can still work together in tandem
Hmm.
because um, if you have a small facility, you're naturally going to be inclined to take the highest
Yeah.
reimbursement you can,
Hmm.
which cuts off if you've got they cannot choose.
Right.
But if you've got patients that are greenlit to come into your facility in one bed, oh, just so happens the highest reimbursement rate person gets that bed.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a
Well, what
simple
happens with
economics.
what happens with that other client? That other client needs services. We have story after story. We were at a trade show. We were at a trade show a while ago, and a dad came up to me and said, "Hey, my son tried to commit suicide. We don't do anything with youth, but this is a youth story."
Hmm.
And he said, "I we took him to the ER. He stayed there for a few days. They got discharged. It took them 2 months to just find a place for him to be able to check in, let alone what's the ongoing support like." So
Yeah. So if somebody was listening and said, "Okay, this sounds like an area that, because you said it's got social impact, but also it has, investment opportunity." What is it? What is an investment? How would you advise somebody, and what does an investment look like in a business like this?
yeah, so we've opened it up to all side. Just like I said, our clientele is very different as far as higher end and low end. Um, the type of investors we take is different as well. We have just submitted something to the SEC to be able to take a check size as small as $5,000.
Yeah.
And we are getting major support from established wealthy families that are in the millions of dollars as well. And so that's what we like is that, hey, if your family, you know, this has touched a lot of people.
Yeah.
If in some way you want to support, we do have a nonprofit we're making right now that they'll be able to donate to. If you want to do some, I call it philanthro capital. If you want to make an impact, but also get some, return on investment, reach out to us, Northstar financialgroup.com or northstarrecovery.care. Reach out to us, on LinkedIn. But that's what those investments look like is those
Mhm.
are the check sizes. Um,
And what kind of return, or how long is the typical investment?
yeah, the typical investments between 5 and 7 years.
Mhm.
It's a kind of a hold, long-term hold.
Yeah.
Um, we do plan because these facilities do generate cash flow. We do plan to make it it's not a to make it basically dividends. We plan
Right.
to distribute dividends. Um, and I think we're trying to hit somewhere between 10 and 15% return on investment.
Yeah.
what's interesting about this space as well is 60% of our portfolio is real estate.
Mm,
We're actually buying the physical facilities,
right.
and then we're putting our businesses into those facilities. So it's a pretty conservative investment because it's real estate backed.
Hmm.
You get federal and insurance dollars that are, that come in guaranteed. And, not all insurance is guaranteed, but call it
Right.
Medicaid is
Hmm.
that's pretty guaranteed. But that's what generates the revenue. And so it's a really good model. That's why I liked it, is because we could mix the real estate with the operations of the business and have the upside of what a
Yeah.
business can do, what you can sell a business for, what you can, you know, generate from a business, but the security and the stability of common real estate.
Yeah. It's a bit like the McDonald's model, except maybe contributing to making people healthier as opposed to unhealthier.
Yes, very, very much so. Maybe like you're from California, In and
Yeah.
Out,
Yeah. Yeah. In and out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
still very unhealthy.
Exactly. And just as an aside, what are other investments that you're looking at today? Are you still heavily investing in real estate?
Yes, we also have another real estate fund that just does hotels. What
Hmm.
we've realized is we kind of like properties where they are the base is real estate, but they have a unique operating company on top of them.
Hmm.
Behavioral health is a great example of that. You've got base real estate with a pretty unique operating company. Hotels are another one where, unlike multifamily, I've done a lot of multifamily investing in my existing portfolio, where it's just kind of like people just pay rent every year or every month, and you've got some basic operations. A hotel, those is very much more hands-on and
Hmm.
pretty unique.
Yeah. And what's the hotel sector like at the moment? Because I mean, it obviously, post COVID, there's been a lot of kind of maybe uh, hotels going in different directions. Some have kind of decided to stay on, oh, this is great. We got rid of all those additional services. We're not bringing any of them back. And the other ones are going, no, I think people want a real experience.
Yeah, I would say the hotel industry is pretty strong. It reels with the market.
Hmm.
So the whole industry kind of contracts and expands with, news, travel, if travel's whatever hindered. Uh, we saw there was a big push. They called it revenge travel after COVID. We were bottled up. We got to go out there and travel. So there was a huge spike, especially if you were in a vacation area, and vacation meaning like a wilderness area.
Hmm.
And so the hotel industry at large, I thought years ago that it would get just crushed by Airbnb. But I really think it's a resilient sector if you find the right properties.
Hmm.
It's a resilient sector that, you can't really touch because they just have so much staying power.
Yeah, yeah, and apart from that, hotels, any other sector of the real estate industry that you like right now?
No, I mean, we're always doing multifamily because
Hmm.
within the behavioral health, actually
Yeah.
multifamily investing fits within the strategy, because a lot of times some of your clients need additional supportive. It's called supportive or sober living housing.
Right,
So
right.
we're
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
bullish on that.
Oh, yeah. So there's a yeah. So it's nice the way all of that ties in, if you like. I mean, with the behavioral health, with addiction, if you need housing, then there's multifamily. Not to mention, obviously, there's a lot of multifamily properties that they're building now that have, retailer service elements to them.
Yeah, exactly. So you caught it, John. You caught it.
Yeah. Well, great. This has been very interesting, Jay. And I mean, it's fascinating. And I think something that, if anyone's listening out there, as you said, if you what did you call it? Philanthropy capitalism. I like that. I like that phrase. So, if you want to invest in something that's meaningful, that helps somebody, maybe these issues have touched you, yourself, your life, your family, people you want to give back, but you also want to, yeah, you want to make some money as well, which is no harm in that, as we know. So this is a great sector that potentially to get into. So all of Jay's information will be below this video and the links that he talked about. But before we go, Jay, tell people a little bit more about you and what you do.
Say that one more time.
Before we go, you can tell people just a little bit more about what you do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, really, we're here to just expand access to those behavioral health facilities and behavioral health services in general. We're here to help make incredible impact in people's lives, whether that be the individual, the family, or the community. And our mission's twofold: make that impact on the individual, but also you can make a great ROI at the same time while helping other humans in an amazing way.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't see this mental health crisis getting any less the way things are going right now. So, hey, if you can make a contribution towards helping somebody get back on track because they can get to a facility that can really help them, then that's a great thing. So, thanks again, Jay. Thank you for watching and listening. And I will see you all again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.